Hi, this is Linda Popky from Marketing Thought Leadership. We're here today with Karina Jensen of Global Minds Network, who's going to talk to us about how we can leverage social media in global launch plans. Thank you for joining us, Karina.
Thank you.
So tell us, why are some countries slower than others to adopt social media in a launch framework?
It's really looking at differences across cultures, communication styles, use and access to technology, looking at your use of social space, how much information you want to share, looking at relationship building before you want to share that information. So there are a lot of considerations we need to make before we use social media across cultures and in order to effectively communicate.
Great. Tell us, what's the best way to engage in a global launch in terms of engaging social media types of activities?
So the best ways are really to look at how to create a very open and collaborative space. A lot of the companies that I've interviewed in a worldwide or global study, multinationals who are currently looking at social media, especially for global launches, really show that there's an open and collaborative culture throughout the company and where your colleagues from around the world can engage, and also that you have the right technologies, the tools that are adaptable, and also look at ways that you can create conversations for them to share ideas. So again, it's the open collaborative space, looking at the technologies that are accessible and that you can use, and also looking at ways that you can use that throughout your launch process, looking at how you can use that in meetings, forums, idea brainstorming, etc.
So Karina, you've surveyed multinational companies that are headquartered in the US and Europe and Asia. Have you seen differences in the way that adoption is going on in social media based on where these companies are located?
Yes, and so of course there's also the technology factor. Looking at, you see it's more prevalent in the high-tech industry that are more technology driven, but also looking across regions, looking at Europe, looking at Asia and the US, you see that it's been embraced more quickly in the US and North America, parts of Northern Europe. There are other parts of Europe, southern and the continent, looking at parts of Asia, where it hasn't been embraced as quickly. And this is really due to traditional forms of networking, more formal networking, informal networking inside the company. Those are still very strong traditions, and that's where you see that social network or social media is making a slower sort of introduction.
So if we were to look at some best practices for integrating social media into a global launch type of framework, what would you recommend to us?
So I would recommend, of course, looking at the company in terms of developing that collaborative space, looking at how, first of all, can you leverage the media or the infrastructure within your company, looking at your organizational culture and looking at how collaborative that is in terms of creating that open space for your cross-cultural team members. And looking at engaging them throughout the team process. You can start small, you can start with your team when you're conducting a global project or launch, and look at how the knowledge or this social media savvy of your team members, and look at how you can integrate that throughout the launch process. But what's most important is really looking at your social architecture, making sure you have that open space, that collaborative environment for your team members, and then look at the technologies that you can use across cultures that's going to promote that conversation for creating those ideas, as well as sharing information on practices around the world.
That's great. Thank you so much, Karina. I appreciate you sharing your insights with us.